So today what we actually have is a story of a father and young son who were simply just trying to garden. They're just trying to have proper, good, kosher lawn maintenance. And then, of course, their neighbor wants to ruin all of that by introducing a firearm. We will be getting into this. Let's get into this headline. It says it was scary. Enraged white man allegedly pulled rifle on black father and 4-year-old son as they garden after grass clippings got into his driveway. Yes, 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 you heard it correctly. Okay, yes, grass clippings got into the neighbor's driveway, and thus the reaction is, okay, let me go and get a firearm. Let's get into the story. A Michigan man faces years behind bars after prosecutors claim he pointed a firearm at two civilians, okay, the father and the son. Mark Dennis Grabowski, 63 years old, is said to have pointed an air rifle at a 31-year-old man and his 4-year-old son. The victims were doing yard work at a neighboring home when Grabowski pulled the gun on them and then barricaded himself in his home. So you're going to go commit a crime and then you're going to go and play, I guess, like you're the victim or some sort. Okay. Officials said in a statement. When police got to the scene, they created a perimeter. All right. Officers, along with other agencies, were involved in a 4-hour standoff with him. And yes, okay, his age, he is 63 years old. The incident happened on April 27th in Dearborn Heights, which is a suburb near Detroit. Okay.
As I'm blowing, I'm showing my son how to use the blower, like we coming from the backyard around the front, and I just looked to the left. He got the rifle pointed right at me and my son.
The rifle he's on the grass, pointing.
He's on his porch, and we on the grass, and he's pointing the rifle at us, saying, last year we left stuff on his driveway, this year we're not gonna do it.
Breon Woods and his adorable 4-year-old son Brighton coming face to face with an irate man pointing a shotgun right at them. It happened on Eaton Street here in Dearborn Heights Saturday. Woods was there to cut a neighbor's lawn. He has a rifle and your son is right there, pointing at both of you. Yeah. What did you do?
I just grabbed my son and I just got out the way. The neighbors across the street, they came out and called the cops. There's more cops this way.
The man with that shotgun went back inside his home and he refused to come out for police for 6 hours Saturday. He was finally taken into custody. But now Wood's son is scared, confused why anyone would point a shotgun at him.
It was random. It was scary. You know, it was scary to have my son see it. That was my biggest thing, was my son being there.
Prosecutors said defendant Grabowski exited the residence and was taken into custody. Aspects of the case are, of course, under review. Okay. And it says it is unclear what led him to pull his rifle out, but he was mad over grass clippings. I think that's all it takes. Because we've seen plenty of stories where you could just have a teenage boy who just happened to go to the wrong house and he gets shot. Okay, we've seen many stories where people are just making an innocent mistake and they get shot, they get beat up, they get killed even, so something like this, I really don't think it required that much. Okay, in all realness, I really think it could have just been he did not like his neighbors and this was just, how some people are, just give me a reason to do something and I'm gonna do it. And this was his reason to do what he already wanted to do anyways. But let's continue. And yes, no self-control. This is also why I say, not just because you can have a gun doesn't mean you should have a gun, doesn't mean that everyone should have access to a gun. And yes, there should be certain regulations and rules put into place so that stuff like this does not happen. People could say, well, maybe he's had it for a very long time, yada, yada, yada. That's true, but we've seen many, many other cases where the person just newly got one and then there's a mass shooting, in the next week. So I think there needs to be more of a vetting process, but let's continue. Quote unquote, as I am, and this is the father saying this, okay? He says, as I am showing my son how to use the blower, like we're coming from the backyard into the front, and I just looked to the left, he got the rifle and pointed it right at me and my son. All right. And this is the father, Brian Woods, who said this. He said last year we left stuff on his driveway, and this year we're not going to do it again. It's as simple as this is one particle of grass that is on my driveway, and I have to go and get a gun. It's literally as simple as that. Because he said last year, oh, he said that we left it on there. Now we're not going to do it anymore over some grass. Okay. I mean, let's keep it real. Anyone who's ever done yard work knows that grass is going to get places. Okay. It just is what it is. But let's continue. Grabowski, he was charged with 2 counts of misdemeanor assault, carrying a weapon with unlawful intent, and felony firearm. He is being held on a $50,000 bond. If released, he will be required to wear a GPS tether. All right. And if he is found guilty, he could spend up to 2 years for the firearm charge and face 5 years for the felony weapons charge. So, do you all think those are, I guess you could say, proper charges to be giving him? I don't know. I feel like this. Anytime you bring out a weapon into any situation, who's to say it doesn't accidentally go off? You know what I mean? And I get, it's just misdemeanor, but still, it's like, who's to say it didn't go off? Who's to say he couldn't have shot the boy in the toe? And I get he didn't do it, but he could have, So for me, I look at it like this. I think you need I think you need more time, because it said if he was found guilty, or if he is to be found guilty, he could face 2 years for the firearm and then 5 for the felony weapons charge. But if you get a plea deal, you may, 7, you may get 3, but you shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff anyways. And this is so much so a senseless crime that you shouldn't have been doing that anyways. But let me know what you all think about Seth's story down below.